Having spent the previous night in Penzance, we were well rested and awoke to a fantastic sunrise to kick off our silly pelagic adventure. The sea was calm and there was only a light breeze, perfect conditions for crossing to the islands. The Selonian was due to set sail at 9:15, so we slowly made our way over to the harbour to meet the rest of the Oriole birding group and check in our luggage. The 68-metre Selonian 3 was launched in May 1977 and has a crew of 18. She makes the crossing in about 2 hours and 45 minutes and is currently the principal passenger ship servicing the Isles of Scilly. She only operates between early spring and the end of autumn and is due to be replaced by the aptly named Selonian 4, which with its increased speed will cut the crossing time by 20%. Incredibly, she'll have a 55% reduction in fuel bills and a 50% increase in cargo capacity. After a brief safety talk, we left the harbour side and slowly made our way out to open water. Approaching open sea, we had increasing numbers of gannet, fulmar and of course Manx shearwater, along with a single Mediterranean gull and a small flock of kittiwake, but the bonus of the trip over was half a dozen storm petrels and a lucky sighting of a sunfish. In what felt like no time at all, we were soon in the calm waters of the Scillys archipelago. And then into the safe waters of St. Mary's Island and Newtown Harbour, where we'd get our first glimpse of the Sapphire, our boat for the weekend. After leaving the harbour, we all made the short walk to our respective B&Bs and checked in for the weekend.
Maybe all the way around.
As we were walking right by, we couldn't help but stop and take in the sights of Town Beach. After a brief little look around the island, we made our way back to the harbour where our first pelagic would start at 5 p.m. Before boarding, we'd see the Selonian leaving the harbour for her return leg back to Penzance. Our Oriole birding group eagerly awaiting our first trip out on the Sapphire. The Sapphire just needed to offload her ferrying passengers and then our first pelagic trip could start. Our trip south would take us between St. Agnes and Annette Islands. out past the Western Rocks and back via the Bishop Rock Lighthouse. After greeting our Seabird expert Bob Flood, our skipper Joe Pender, and the rest of the Scilly Pelagic guides, we were soon headed out to sea.
That would be the place where they are. So if you see any group of gannets or a concentrated group of manx shearwaters, just bring it to the attention one of us.
Thankfully, our pelagic trips were exclusively for the Oriole birding group, so there was plenty of space to move about the boat. Even enough free space for one or two freeloaders to join the trip. Billa, the skipper's dog, has the uncanny ability to hear dolphins long before we saw them. Passing the Western Rocks, our seabirding started to improve, with small flocks of shag feeding right next to the boat. And immediately thereafter, multiple sightings of Manx shearwaters, which would continue throughout the trip. The Manx shearwater is a relatively small shearwater which breeds in colonies on offshore islands here in the UK, where it is safe from rats and ground predators. Birds leave their nest sites in July and migrate to the coast of South America, where they spend the winter, returning in late February and March. Idling over to a small raft of Manx shearwaters so that we could slowly scan through the flock turned out to be a good move, because this is where we would find our first Corey shearwater. Corey shearwater is a herring gull-sized bird with long wings and light brown upper parts, dark brown wings and tail, and white underparts, and a pale yellow bill. Cories are passage migrants here in the UK, with non-breeding birds summering in coastal areas near southwestern England and Ireland. They winter across most of the Atlantic Ocean, but also in the southeastern Indian Ocean. The most crows we had all trip long was on our first evening out, with 24 in total. Next spotted flying in were the great shearwaters, ending the day with 10 in total. Great shearwaters are a long-winged seabird, a bit larger than a common gull. With dark grey upper parts and upper wings with pale edging, white upper tail coverts, black tail, grey-brown cap and white collar. Underparts are white except for brown vent and a patch on the belly. Great shearwaters are visitors to the UK and breed in the South Atlantic near the Falkland Islands. They remain mostly offshore but can be seen primarily from the Northern and Western Isles, Western Island and the Cornish coast. Most sightings are between late summer and early autumn. Seems like we had a Corey shearwater flying past the boat every couple of minutes on our first day, just like this one did. After motoring some time in a southwesterly direction, our skipper Joe and Bob decided to cut the engines and let us drift on the prevailing winds. This gave us an opportunity to throw some chum overboard to see what it would bring out. The slick quickly spread to several hundred meters and immediately the birds started to arrive. City shearwaters are the size of common gulls and are overall dark grey-brown with darker grey-brown on the head, wings and tail. The wings have pale grey linings and have pale brown edging to the feathers. Cities breed in the South Atlantic, close to Antarctica, and then make huge clockwise migrations up the Western Atlantic in spring to spend our summers in the North Atlantic. Then, as summer turns into autumn, they move down into UK waters on their return leg. Fulmars are gull-sized birds that are members of a group of birds known as tube noses. Included in these are giant albatrosses and tiny storm petrels. Fulmars breed on high cliff faces all over the UK, and a well-known fact is that they'll often spit out a foul-smelling oil on intruders that may be attacking their nests. Next to arrive at the back of the slick were the European storm petrels. Incredibly difficult to keep in frame, these small square-tailed birds are entirely black except for a broad white rump and a white band under the wings. Not much bigger than a house sparrow, these birds breed on predator-free islands mostly off the west coast of the UK and will only come ashore under the cover of darkness to breed. Outside of the breeding season they are strictly oceanic. They spend the northern hemisphere winters off the coast of South Africa and Namibia. This was another great shearwater that came in to investigate the slick. Yet another European storm petrel passing the back of the boat, one of over 40 on the day. Corey shearwaters generally live for over 20 years, but the oldest recorded individual was ringed in Selvagens in Portugal and died in Plettenberg Bay, South Africa, at the ripe old age of 40. Cories mate with the same partner at the same breeding site every year. Young birds reach maturity between the ages of 5 and 7 before they spend their entire time at sea. Breeding starts in April and the chicks fledge in October. Storm petrels are the smallest form of seabird in the world. Colonies of storm petrels return year after year to the same nesting location. The nests are built in burrows or crevices in rocks. These are sometimes shared with other seabirds and even rabbits. All but one of the species of storm petrel become nocturnal at the nesting sites in order to cut down on their chances of being spotted by predators and leading them back to the eggs or young. Pelagic shearwaters are a medium-sized seabird and were our last new bird of the day. They have dark grey upperparts, grey-brown underparts, and some birds have buff white on their throats, breast and bellies. There are ash grey and white tones under wing, with dark diagonal bars that vary from bird to bird. The bill is dark and the legs and feet a pinkish colour. Despite breeding in the Balearic Islands and the south coast of France, they migrate northwards towards the Bay of Biscay, which is when some birds make it into British waters. After a great first day and with the sun starting to set, we decided to turn around and head home. Passing the 49-metre Bishop Rock Lighthouse on our way back. It was built in 1858 at a cost of some £35,000 on a small rocky outcrop 4 miles west of the Scillys, known as Bishop Rock. It was converted to automatic operation in 1991, with the last keepers leaving the lighthouse on the 21st of December 1992. We ended the day with 5 species of shearwaters. These included hundreds of manxies, 24 cories, 10 great, 3 Balearic, and a sooty. Added to this were 40 European storm petrels, common dolphins, and a sunfish. Day 2 of our trip started with an amazing breakfast at our B&B, and with the weather looking perfect, it looked like another great day on the sea. Making my way back to the harbour for the 9 o'clock departure of the Sapphire, hoping that today will be Wilson's Storm Petrel Day. Found a compass jellyfish floating in the harbour. You can see why they called this with their distinctive brown markings. They eat fish, crabs, and even other small jellyfish. They give a nasty sting, so if you see one on the beach, stay well clear. Day 2 would take us in a westerly direction, out north of Bishop Rock Lighthouse and then into a massive clockwise loop and back home again.
There we go.
This was the second sighting of a sunfish on the trip, and luckily this time I was ready with camera in hand. They are the second heaviest bony fish in the world, surpassed only by the lesser known southern sunfish, with some weighing in at nearly 2.5 tons. Their diet consists mainly of small fish, fish larvae, squid and crustaceans, with jellyfish and salps making up only 15% of the diet.
City in there on the back on the right hand side. Yes, City, just fall in the pack there with the back. Sea surface at the moment, so I'll have a rubbish over them.
This was a feeding frenzy of a school of bluefin tuna. These fish can grow to a length of 4.5 meters and weigh a colossal 650 kilograms. When chasing prey, they can put on bursts of speed of up to 40 kilometers an hour and live for around 30 years, although in reality the lifespan is around 15.
Yes, sand in the water. I've lost it again. 10 o'clock. Nearest girl with that help.
It's amazing what a difference a day makes. On day 2 of our trip, our Cories and sooty shearwater numbers seem to have reversed themselves, with only 5 Cories seen, but sooties numbering in the mid-20s. And then it was the turn of the short-beaked common dolphins, making Bella, the skipper's dog, run to the rails and cry at them. Common dolphins are, as the name suggests, the most common in the world. They have a beautiful striking pattern of yellow and grey on their flanks, creating a distinctive hourglass shape, making them easy to spot and identify. Their flanks are dark with a V shape appearing just below the dorsal fin. They are between 1.7 and 2.5 meters long, making them one of the smaller dolphins. They put on an incredible show for us, and with me leaning over the edge, I was literally just meters away from them. Previously considered to be one species, in 1994 the common dolphin was separated into short and long-beaked varieties. In European waters, they usually travel in groups typically comprising of about 20 individuals, but have been seen in groups of over 500. In other areas around the world, they can form superpods of several thousand. And then after a short time with the dolphins, we thought we'd cut the engines for lunch, throw some chum overboard and see what would come in. And then almost immediately we had a great skewer fly in, checking to see whether there was any free meals available. Great skuas are the aggressive pirates of the seas, deliberately hassling other birds as large as gannets to steal a free meal. They are also known to kill and eat smaller birds such as puffins. These birds migrate to the northernmost isles of the UK from their wintering grounds off the coast of Spain and Africa. Another compass jellyfish floating alongside the boat in the slick. Then just as we were about to give up hope for the day, Bob shouted that he had picked up a pair of Wilson's storm petrels, working the back of the slick, slowly making their way towards the boat. Wilson's storm petrel is a small bird, dark blackish brown overall with a white rump patch and conspicuous pale wing panels. It has long legs that extend past the tail in flight, but these are difficult to spot unless the birds are close in. They frequently hover and patter feet on the surface of the water when feeding, as this bird is doing here, and mostly feed on plankton floating on the surface. Don't let this diminutive bird fool you. They are some of the hardiest birds on the planet and are quite at home in the stormy seas of the Antarctic. They are also one of the most abundant bird species in the world and have a circumpolar distribution, mainly in the seas of the southern hemisphere, but also extending northwards during the summer of the northern hemisphere. The world population was estimated in 2022 to be between 8 and 20 million birds. Weighing in at 40 grams on average, they are the smallest warm-blooded animal that breeds in the Antarctic region, and like European storm petrels, they are strictly nocturnal at the breeding sites to avoid predation by larger gulls and skuas, and will even avoid coming into land on clear moonlit nights. Chicks remain at the nest for about 60 days and are fed on krill, fish and amphipods. Incredibly, our skipper Joe saw a very tall blow way out on the horizon, and so we slowly made our way over to what would be our first sighting of fin whale on the trip. Fin whales are the second largest whale in the world after the blue whale, and can grow up to 26 meters in length and weigh around 70 tons. They have a long grey body with a white underbelly and have asymmetrical coloration on their lower jaw, dark grey on the left side and white on the right side. This is thought to be an adaptation that helps their feeding strategy. They are also the fastest of the great whales, capable of swimming up to 40 kilometers an hour in short bursts, but generally cruise at between 10 and 15 kilometers an hour. They have a truly global distribution and live in every ocean except the parts of the Arctic that remain covered with sea ice for most of the year. Day 2's total were 2 Wilson storm petrels, several European stormies, great Cories and sooty shearwaters, 2 fin whales, 150 common dolphin, an estimated 16 bluefin tuna, 6 harbour porpoises and a lovely sunfish. Our final day out would once again take us between St Agnes and Annette Islands, past the Western Rocks, into a big loop and back again. And then our last new bird of the trip flew in, a beautiful adult Sabines gull. This small oceanic gull is slightly smaller than a black-headed gull and has distinctive black outer wings, white inner wings, and a dark grey back. Breeding adults have a dark grey head and black bill with yellow tip. Sabines gulls are passage migrants here in the UK, with the majority of them breeding in the high Arctic of Greenland, Canada and Siberia. They are the only member of their genus and are like no other gull. Many of its behaviours resemble those of terns rather than gulls. When a predator threatens a Sabine's nesting area, the gull performs a distraction display and, pretending to be injured, will lead the predator away from the nest. This tactic is common among shorebirds but rare amongst gulls. With our chum bags over the side, we had a brief opportunity while drifting on the wind to draw in some blue sharks, with 2 individuals coming in to investigate the bags. They are an open ocean species that visit UK waters in the summer months and are known to be highly migratory, with individuals making several crossings of entire oceans throughout their lifetime. Another great day in our final Scillys pelagic with oriole birding, with 1 Sabines gull, 8 great and 4 sooty shearwaters, 30 European storm petrels, 60 common dolphin, 2 blue sharks and a fin whale. And then, in what felt like a blink of an eye, our silly pelagic adventure was at a close, and we made our way back to the Selonian for our trip back to the mainland.